Hi, guys. Hello.
Who is that, Donnie?
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello,
Hey,
Jackie.
Donnie, this is Steven.
Okay, Steven's checking in, and I hear Buck. Gotta have one
Yes, I'm
more.
here, dear. Leslie's on here too.
Who?
Where's Mike Marshall?
Leslie
Yes, ma'am.
and Jackie.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We need Mike. Or the judge. Have y'all heard from the judge?
Have not.
I have not.
All right, you got another one on the line.
I was trying to get back on my screen. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can
We
hear
can
you.
hear you.
You got
Okay.
somebody else on the line,
That's
Donald?
Mike
Or
Marshall.
it was Mike? It was Mike?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you ready to start the meeting?
Yes, ma'am. If I can get back on the agenda,
Okay,
I'm gonna try to.
I can call it
I
out to
think I
you.
can. Am I
While
still
you're
with y'all?
trying to get to the agenda, Mike,
I got it. Go ahead.
okay. We're in the last commissioners court meeting when we awarded an engineering firm for the HMGP supplemental grant through GLO.
Yes, ma'am.
Because one of the requirements in the supplemental grant was that we perform the work that we wanted to when we originally applied, but were not approved. And they said because LJA had done all that preliminary work, that it was a conflict of interest for them to be the engineer. So we need to select our second choice, which was Goodwin Lassiter.
Correct. All right.
So we're gonna rescind LJA is what A is, and then we'll award with what B is.
Okay. Sounds good.
And Commissioner, Jackie did get something in writing from the GLO to come and support that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Well, we'll call our meeting to order, and I have Buck Hudson, Buck, you on there, aren't you?
Yes, sir, I'm right here.
Stephen,
Yes, sir, I'm on.
did Martin make it? Martin on?
I don't think so.
Oh, and in the
Okay,
courtroom,
so I'm on. We have a quorum. Okay, Martin's in the courtroom?
in the courtroom is
Oh,
myself and Leanne and Ken and Donald, of course.
Okay, good. Glad to have all of you. All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started. Call the meeting to order. And on the consider and approve agenda, we have rescind previous engineering firm due to GLO determination for the HMGP supplement grant application.
And who was
So
that?
can I get a motion to rescind the previous engineering?
I'll make that motion. So moved.
Okay, I got
I'll take a motion
Steven,
for a second.
and I got Buck making the second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right.
Okay,
motion passed.
before y'all move on, Jackie, who are we rescinding and who are we awarding to?
The rescinding is gonna be LJA. That's who we're having to rescind. And then
Okay,
on the next item, the award will be Goodwin Lassiter.
okay, L is in love, J is in Jack, A is in award, huh? Okay,
Yes,
Yes,
and they were LJA, what, engineering?
engineering firm.
Okay, got it? Okay,
so item B is award the engineering firm for the supplemental grant, application to Goodwin Lassiter. Can I get a motion?
I'll so move. I'll make that motion.
All right.
I want that one.
okay, Bud, I got you.
Put me down as a
All in favor,
second.
say aye.
Aye.
passes anyway. C, attended
They did.
mental health guidelines, Ken,
Okay,
can you talk to us about it?
okay, I talked to our grant administrator, literally an hour ago. We're having to do a post, for public comment for 30 days. So what she recommended was instead of, doing it twice, we go ahead and table it or just take it off the docket, or not the docket, my bad, the, agenda. And after we go out for public comment and any amendments are made, then we bring it back and approve it. So, I'm just gonna say,
Okay. We don't need to take any action on it right now?
yes, sir, correct.
Okay. All right. We won't take any action on C. Hello?
Hello? Oh, you hear me? I don't know how to like mute myself. This is Belinda.
Oh, hey,
That's
Delinda.
good.
Just keep your mouth shut.
I don't know how to mute myself. You hear me?
Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's good.
I know it.
All right.
I'll keep my mouth shut until y'all say y'all want me to open my mouth and say something. How about that?
Okay. I won't go with that. Okay, item D is request for proposals for an administrator for DR 4332 regional allocation for harbor recovery GLO grant. Jackie, is that-
If Leslie can speak more to you about this, this is something we need to get going now rather than later. And
Right.
she can explain to you. Leslie, you wanna fill them in?
Yes, ma'am, I'll just tell you what is just public information anyway. At some point here soon, I would think that the COG is gonna have their mod finished for your regional allocation. There is $69 million in debt COG that will be split 7 ways. I just had mentioned this to Jackie, that it might be something you guys want to go ahead and put on the agenda because it is a cumbersome process for you to do. And I listened to the elected officials phone call this morning and there was no definite date on when these would be due. But just to kind of refresh y'all's memory, we'll click along for a long time with nothing happening, and then in a blink of an eye, everything will be due in 60 days. So I just told Jackie, I thought, you wouldn't be doing wrong to get a head start.
Right. How many ways did you say it would be split, Leslie?
7.
7?
7 ways it will be split between, Sabine, San Augustine, Newton, Jasper, Tyler, Polk, and San Jacinto County.
Okay. All right.
And if y'all have questions about that, good. If y'all have questions about it, Commissioner, probably Lonnie can answer those for you.
Okay.
Okay?
That'd be good. Sounds good. Well, I'll make a motion that we, make a request for proposals for an administrator for this 4332 regional allocation grant.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. B, request statement of qualifications for an engineer firm for 4332 regional allocation for Harvey recovery grant.
That's the same thing, and it's just, it's extra. Mhm.
Right, and I
Yes.
put it in the form of a motion. I get a second.
Second.
I heard Buck second, so
All in
it's okay.
favor?
Okay.
Gotcha.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Item L is support rating committee for the procurement of administrator and engineer for DR 4332. And
And I'm requesting it to be the same as it was, Mike Marshall, Ken Job, and myself.
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor, say
Aye.
aye. Motion passes. And G is a part-time person to do COVID screening for district court dockets and set hourly rate. And I believe that's probably why Judge Gibbs.
Yeah, Judge, you can open your mouth now.
Thank you, finally. Okay, so that has to do with me. Jackie told me she was gonna put that on the agenda. And so we had a meeting, I guess it was, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, where we were talking about, I've got big dockets coming up, including, some jury trials that I'm trying to get scheduled. Well, when I have, when I have a docket, you know, there's probably to be 50 to 60 people, and that's, now used to, before COVID, it'd be over 100. I mean, we'd have 150 people sometimes. But I have drastically reduced these dockets, but even with the reduction, we're still sometimes looking at, well, the last one was too many, but this next one is gonna be even smaller. And I do anticipate it being around 50, 60 people, and that's just for like a criminal docket or whatever, which I typically will have one a month, one docket like that. I've got several dockets, but really what I'm wanting to talk to you guys about has to do with those big dockets. Typically they're once a month. And what I was hoping that maybe we could do, and this is just a request, that's all. But it's something that we did talk about in that meeting about perhaps having somebody with some medical background, a nurse or an EMT or something like that, help us with the temperature check and filling out the forms. We did run into a little bit of a problem the last time we had court, and it's just a lot whenever safety is having to screen people for weapons and security, and then also screen them for medical issues and, take their temperature and all that kind of stuff. And so what I was thinking is maybe it would be helpful to us and help limit our liability and stuff like that if we could have somebody with medical training just for the medical screening process only. That's all.
Judge, are the people, they're filling out their own forms, right? I mean, they're answering the question. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Sir, that is correct. So what happens is they're given a form. The person, this is from what I can ascertain. Now, I haven't been out there watching it because, of course, I'm inside. But the last time that we had a deal, some people actually came in that had said on the form that they were ill, that they had been exposed to COVID. One person had a really, really horrible cough. Literally, we had to ask that person to leave. And I'm not blaming anything in this whole wide world. That's just what happened. And we, I think that we were a little overwhelmed at the door. And so the sheriff has come up with a new procedure that he wants to go by to try to help some of this stuff not happen. And everybody kind of talked about it, and we've got some new ideas about how we're going to do it that would work with the configuration of our particular courthouse and district court. And so one of the things was, of course, this type of screening. Now, it's not something that we would need, I wouldn't think, certainly more than once a month unless we're having a jury trial. And then maybe during either that or grand jury or something like that, where we'll have a bunch of people come. If it's just regular court, like I had court today, and there were probably about 20 people up here, I'd say, with witnesses and lawyers and whatever. So I'm here at the courthouse right now in Tyler County, and that hearing, our guys are so, no problem. But whenever you start getting up to that number of people and they're all standing in line, and there's just a lot. And I think it also puts us at a risk for, some liability on those things. And so I'm stuck with, I just want to point it out to my commissioners and let you guys know that this is what's going on. This is a thought. if you guys, think it's a good idea, then that's fine. I would really like to do it. But if you don't think it's a good idea, or if we can't afford it, listen, like I told Ken, I think I was telling Ken, I said, I'm the second daughter out of 5 kids. I am used to being told no about stuff, so it's not it'll be okay. But I just wanted to point it out to y'all.
Well, Judge, we approved money, a while back for the sheriff's office to do anything COVID mitigation. And so if y'all got something worked out through the sheriff's office, then that he can use that COVID money until it runs out, which don't be at the end of the month unless something happens. But, or we could put it through like the district clerk's office to hire a part-time person for that, only during court time when you need it. That way y'all would know when y'all would need it on the big docket calls. That would be an option. And on far as being medical, I would say we don't restrict it to medical. There's a lot of people that are out of work out there that need to work, and most all medical people are wore out of working because they're having to work so much. But I wouldn't have a problem hiring somebody medical. I just wouldn't really want to restrict it to a medical licensed person.
So, well, like an EMT, or we reckon it would need to at least be an EMT?
Well, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't restrict that, And that would be my thinking, is I wouldn't restrict, it could be a doctor, if they want to work for that. But it could be anyone, so.
Anybody, I got you.
Okay, I see what, and look, I don't, okay, that would be perfectly fine if y'all wanted. I don't know that the sheriff, again, you're talking about the money running out anyway, the COVID money's running out at the end of December.
Right, yeah, we don't have to do that, and so about the only place we could bring from would be contingency on this. Let the COVID money pay for it as long as it will, then rolling out a contingency would be my thought on that.
I agree that probably the district clerk's office is probably that would be the smartest one, because they are gonna know, like, if I have a docket scheduled and something happens and we actually have to cancel the docket, the district clerk's office is the first one, they're the first ones that know that. And so they can easily, say, need that person. Now, another thing that Ken told me, and this falls under the heading of not necessarily my business, okay? But Ken said that if you get somebody that is sort of like a part-time person, and we pay, and they're like a part-time person, then if I cancel court the day before, then that, even though that person was called and, hey, we're probably need you, then all we have to do is say, hey, we're not going to, and then that doesn't cost us anything, versus if we had somebody like that was an EMT and you like contract with somebody or whatever, I think that would cost us a lot more money. And so, but again, that falls under the category of not my business. And so that's whatever you gentlemen decide. And
Right. Well, Mike, I'll make a motion that the district clerk be allowed to hire someone on a part-time basis to conduct COVID mitigation during the district court time, where she feels the necessity to have someone there supporting the security system. They just work for a district clerk. And I would say maybe $16 an hour on that. And I would put an end date on it, starting immediately, put an end date on it, say June 1st be the last day we can go back and reassess at that time.
Yeah.
And I would say if COVID money's not paid for it, then we could pull it out of contingency. I don't think it's going to be a whole lot of hours in that. So then Cheryl would just report hours to the HR with her time in there, so that she does every day.
Can I get it?
Can I
All
interject?
right, you got a motion and a second. Any more comments or questions?
Did Buck will make the second?
Yes,
And then
ma'am.
Leanne wants to.
Judge, does that sound good to you?
yes, sir, that sounds that's better than I had even thought it. Yes, that's perfect.
Okay, go ahead and mute yourself again there, so.
Leanne has a question.
Well, I really just have
You
a,
have a question?
yes, sir, I just have a comment. Being my previous experiences from healthcare, I do know that if we're kind of looking for healthcare, in that area, $16 is not gonna be good enough. That's, you're not gonna get it. Here's the issue. You're asking somebody to be PRN, which means that you're gonna ask them to be a couple of times a month at the most, and to find somebody to drop what they're doing to come do that is gonna be challenging. And then you're gonna tell them that when you do that, we're gonna only pay you $16 when an LVN makes somewhere around $19 to $20 an hour. And so I do think that we probably need to reconsider the $16, at least to 19 or 20.
Leanne, what can a licensed or a medical person do that a non-medical person can do as far as reading the answers to those questions?
Well,
The temperature.
we both know
They have a
it's
mechanical temperature.
the same thing.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
I think I want to leave it at 16 with that being our policy already.
Yeah, and I think that if we can't find somebody for 16, then maybe they don't have, and I think it can't be a medical, but this is what I am gonna say, one reason that I would like to have a medical person is because it's like this, that form says, do you have a call? Okay? What you have to understand is a lot of these people that are coming to court, especially my criminal court, you know, if they say, yes, call. They can just make themselves call for something. And, you know, if it's a medical personnel, then they can, you know, maybe ask them a couple of questions about this cough. I mean, is this a persistent cough? I would think, you know, and make sure more COVID related versus, you know, somebody just trying not to come to court because they suddenly, you know, just don't, well, not suddenly, but they would just do not be at court anyway, you know? And now, that's just my thought. Again, that's not the only, but it's one of the main reasons. The other thing is, you know, I don't think it's okay for my safety, you know, our safety people or a sheriff's deputy to look at somebody and say, well, you know, you've had a cough for, you know, 25 years and it might be lunch or so you're going to come on in the courtroom. I don't think that is just real strange. It's just a real strange situation. I don't know what.
Yeah, well,
What
the
about-
judge, you could even, in your policy of your court, if they come up there and say, hey, I'm sick, I can't come to court, and, you know, you as the judge require them to get, you know, where they went to the doctor and they are cleared, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I need something from the doctor saying, hey, doctor's
Yep.
you're ill, you can't go to court, you know, so.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
might have to set them up on a Zoom one, you know. If you had that, so.
Hey, what is the normal pay for a nurse at a nursing home and stuff? Does anybody know?
the
They'll be
LVN,
answer anywhere from 18 to 20 or so.
1927 is about an average pay for an LVN in a nursing home.
What about someone
What
who's,
is, Leanne?
1927.
1927?
Well, I can tell you this, the two hospitals in Lufkin, the hospital in Woodville and the two bigger hospitals in Beaumont, none of them use medical personnel, unless they can't find anybody else, but I know that Lufkin uses their valet people because they're not doing valet, so I can tell you that. I thought they do.
Absolutely, you're right about that. We could absolutely get away with that.
Yeah, but it would be nice if we had somebody that had some medical background, I know for sure, but.
I mean, if this is a temporary position and we're looking for the
Yeah,
medical
it would.
background, then,
The motion made the end in, June the 1st would be the last day.
so if we have an end date and it's a temporary position and we're not creating a permanent position, I really feel like to meet all the different requests from the court and from what we're reasonably expecting somebody else to do. I don't see where, I mean, I realize that we only pay clerks, the most amount that's in the office, but at the same time, we're asking for a little bit of a different scope. And so, and if you're comparing, anyway, I just think to meet all the needs that we're asking for, I think $19 would be a realistic view.
Well, that's their normal pay, and so there's all kinds of overtime available for nurses right now out there because there's so many of them that are wore out from, they're taking leaves of absence or whatever, because they're wore out, and so there's a lot of overtime out there being paid at $35 an hour, even if, there's plenty of jobs out there for nurses to be able to work at. It's not like nurses are shorthanded. What I'm concerned about is people that don't have a medical that still need to make money. They've been laid off for months. And they could do this and get paid a decent wage,
Well,
Yeah, well, listen, just from what I'm hearing you say is, while I'm saying medical, heck, it could be a CNA, CNA, I'm just thinking somebody to help us out. But I also understand that we've got, we've got to operate within the boundaries of the rules, which in the past has been $16 an hour. How about, since that's something I think that we're agreeing on, how about we see what we can find for $16 an hour? If something happens and maybe it doesn't work out, we can talk about it later.
Yeah.
But I'm perfectly satisfied with what you're saying.
Right. Okay.
And I agree with Leanne that medical personnel get paid a lot more than that. But I mean,
Yeah, let's do what we do.
beggars can't be choosers,
Yeah. So we got a motion in a second. Is there any more comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passed. I think that was, all that was on the agenda, wasn't it?
We don't have
I believe
anything
that's
for
it.
executive session.
Yeah,
and-
that's it.
Yes, that's it.
All right, can I get a
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Everybody in favor, say aye. Aye.
Thank y'all.
All right, guys, appreciate it. That's all
Hi,
y'all.
y'all.
see y'all later.
Hey, Donald.
You still shutting it down?
Okay.
Do what now?
Is that my signal?